Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit.
Welcome back to Live from the Heartland for the week of June 8th. I'm still Michael James. I'm still up here in the mighty 49th Ward. And it's always a pleasure to bring on a longtime friend, fellow producer of events around town for progressive people and others, the one and only Marguerite Horberg, who is the founder of Chicago's legendary HotHouse. Hello to you, Marguerite.
Hey, Michael, thanks again for having me on. And it's a big honor, especially following our friend Don Rose, the GOAT of all political journalism here in Chicago.
Good. Well,
it's a nice segue to move, kind of lead into our series Unconventional, which sort of is a touchstone to Rose and many others who have been following and weathering the ins and outs of Chicago politics for several decades.
Tell our listeners what the HotHouse is, a brief history of the HotHouse, because it's something special and it's still going on.
Thank you. Yes, I'm the founder of HotHouse, hence all the gray hair. Started in 1987, and the first incarnation was in a loft on Adams Street. Then we moved to Wicker Park at 1565 North Milwaukee. We were there until 1995, and then we moved downtown to Balbo in a space currently occupied by Buddy Guy's Legends. So this is our 37th year of being a nonprofit arts presenter. We are very interested in the intersection of social justice and high quality, high caliber arts presenting. So to this day, we've presented almost 7,000 unique programs that we've created by ourselves. And we have presented more than $2 million in artist fees. And we've spanned the globe in terms of being interested in art and culture, from Finland to Mali to right here in Chicago on the South Side. So our next endeavor is buying the Chicago Youth Center at 3947 South Michigan, which has an adjacent lot filled with beautiful art treasures, including sculpture by Mr. Imagination. We're also working with the city to obtain the lot directly across the street and all together create a cultural campus. And to do that, we are on pins and needles waiting for a grant from the city, which would allow us to purchase the site and pay for partial development and reconstruction and repurposing. And the basic idea is to make it a hub of organizing and culture from throughout the world, and also in Bronzeville, which is where it's located.
Well, that's really
that's
exciting.
The short answer.
No, that's great, and I'm really excited that you're able to do this. It's a sure thing. You're going to get this grant, and you're going to be able to get the property and do some building, at least get it started.
I feel confident, actually. I mean, we have so many people who are spiritually connected, and from their lips to God's ears. So I feel like it's probably going to happen. And so to get to where we are today, a lot of people have donated money and otherwise, 37 years of goodwill and performances and, great relationships. So it feels special and good, and be great to locate a project like HotHouse in Bronzeville.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Well, one of the reasons that I asked you to come on the show again was that you have a film festival. There's a lot of film festivals out there. I'm overwhelmed. I don't go to a lot of film festivals. I do watch some films. I'm in some films, but I was really impressed with all of the films that you have coming up in this film festival. So let's talk about it. Let's give us the overview, and then maybe let's focus on some of these films, what they're all about, from Betty Boop to Malcolm X.
Yeah.
How'd it going?
Thanks. So our good friend, our mutual friend, Peter Kuttner, and I have collaborated for many years, starting most, I guess, more decidedly during COVID, where we were committed to presenting online content for free. But even before that, starting in kind of 2010, we were doing a lot of attenuated social cause, social justice programs that were multidisciplinary, but had a strong film component to them. And he and I think, both share a love of films that are chestnuts from, decades in the past. Either they're guerrilla TV or video or other kinds of social documentary commentary that really just don't get seen very often, even with a lot of film festivals that are mostly feature films. So it's a lot of fun to try to unearth these kind of nuggets from that really have great cinematography, cinema verite, kind of on the street documents. And so this series, because it's yet another Chicago Democratic convention with with a president who's not even going to make the scene. So we thought it's a great moment to try and unearth and discuss and present kind of odds and ends from the dustbins of history. Some things people know about, some are kind of classic features like The Great Dictator and All the King's Men and Parallax View, which are commercial films. A lot of people have seen them. But one thing we've noticed in these presentations is that with younger people who are mostly used to seeing things on Netflix or TCM or other kinds of streaming platforms, that there's just a lot of content that, even with so much content, isn't really shown. So Peter found Punishment Park and A Grin Without a Cat, and I found El Grito, and all three of these movies I think are really, really compelling watching. So we've been partnering with CAN TV, which is Chicago Cable Access. And the reason why we like to work with them is because it's a platform that reaches throughout Chicago, kind of beyond our own HotHouse abilities to connect with people. I've been in gyms working out where CAN TV is on, and it's a platform that was negotiated on behalf of the people, so we want to support it. And so a lot of the films are on CAN TV Channel 21 on Saturday nights, starting this Saturday at 7 p.m. And then also we're presenting films that people can watch anytime through our email or website. And those are just links that we've provided where people can click and watch at their leisure. So they're all free. The name of the festival is Unconventional.
I'm really impressed with the list of films, and it starts after this show airs on Saturday. And just let me, little footnote, we are on CAN TV at 9:00 on Thursdays each week.
Oh,
And your film festival is going to run from
June 6th.
Through July 6th. Then there's also anytime people want to watch, they can go to your website, etc., to see like Medium Cool, El Grito, Punishment Park, A Grin Without a Cat. These are all films I don't know much about except Medium Cool.
No, you'll like Punishment Park, Michael. It's up your alley. It's a bunch of dissidents who are rounded up by Nixon's goon squads and given a choice between like running for their life or I don't know. It's some wacky 60s
Well, let's
stuff.
start with let's just talk a little bit about some of these films and you give us a little synopsis or detail. Starting after this show later tonight on Saturday, we're talking. Um, you've got Betty Boop for President, which was made in 1932, and The Great Dictator, which I think has Charlie Chaplin in it back in 1940. How about filling this? Give us a little on those two films.
Well, Betty Boop's a short cartoon. We thought we'd start out easy and kind of everybody loves Betty Boop. And the Great Dictator with the great Charlie Chaplin. I think we love Charlie Chaplin not only for his artistic over and his great body of work, but for his political point of view and his solidarity with people. And mentioning Cuba later, there's a Charlie Chaplin theater in Cuba, and so that there's also a nod, a through connection.
Next week, you've got some heavier films coming up. You've got The Ballad of the Bullet, which I think is Malcolm X, Freedom on My Mind, and Nation Time. Fill us in on those three films.
Well, I also want to say that since you and I talked, CAN TV is going to show Jesse Jackson on Friday night, sort of one day early. So they're going to screen the Jesse Jackson speech Friday night at 7. So that actually starts the festival on CAN TV. Then it follows the next day with Betty Boop and Charlie Chaplin.
Some people will get to hear about this on Friday mornings. We're on Lumpen Radio now, and
okay,
on Lumpen.
Cool.
And also,
well, so the next three up, June 15th at 7, Channel 19, Channel 21. A lot of people have seen the Malcolm X Ballad or the Bullet. It's a short speech that he gave in 1964. It has sort of an inflammatory title, but I think his point is interesting because it's sort of like, people who are denied access to channels of empowerment, consider other options. So that's kind of his speech, and it's can't have a festival without Malcolm X. Freedom on My Mind is a piece I'm really interested in seeing, which is Connie Field's movie from 1994. And it focuses on the Freedom Summer in Mississippi. And what I think is so interesting about this movie is really, you can't underestimate or acknowledge how courageous and fearless the people who went south to register people to vote in spite of extremely violent, deadly circumstances. And so that film, kind of highlights, and then the punchline is sort of a triumphant one. But, in this day and age, I think it's really important that people like you were talking with Don, who sort of are of the opinion like, oh, it's all the same. We're tired of, the capitalist, democratic, whatever. I think it really helps to reflect like how much is at stake and how, people who actually organize and commit can turn really horrible situations around. And I think it's really important to keep thinking about that because, it's a marathon.
I just want to make a comment on that. For the younger people who may be listening, summer of 1964 was really something else. It was when the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee had recruited people, both black and white, to come to Mississippi to do voter registration. People got killed down there. People got beat up. A lot of negative stuff happened, but it really set the groundwork for, you can even look at Georgia today with 2 Democratic senators that, kind of goes back to those roots. And I remember I had just graduated from college and was working in Uptown for some anthropologists studying Southern white migrants that summer of '64. And I remember reading the papers every day, just so excited about what I heard, or disappointed or angry or upset about the activity that was going on that summer. And, people today, everybody supposedly gets to vote, but people couldn't vote then, you know? And
Well,
it's,
I mean, I think it's also so important, Michael, to keep reminding people that the things that we gained are not etched in stone, and that we have to keep fighting for them. It's an ever, freedom is a constant struggle. And, we have to keep reminding young people that even, things that we thought were settled, like, abortion rights or voting rights or clean water or many things are under attack. And what I think these movies show is that, these were ordinary people, not extraordinary people, but ordinary people who felt compelled to action, and they found a way to join other people, and collectively and together they were able to make substantial, significant change in the world. And so, part of the reason we're showing some of these movies is to, to look back, but also to make a statement about empowerment at a time when so many people feel disempowered and cynical and frustrated, and they don't have a way to really connect in a serious way to affect change. And so we're always also reminding people about the Movement Voter Project, which is a superly important national way for young people, everybody, to connect on a local level to these races that are happening all over the country. So we're trying to find ways for people not only to be, entertained through historical lens, but to find a way to actually act between now and November.
right on.
And to join other people who want to keep a forward momentum.
Well, what's this Nation Time, which is going to be on June 15th? Nation Time 1972. It sounds like we're in Nation Time again. What's going to happen to the nation? But tell us about that film.
Well, we screened this movie once before, but it's a great document by William Graves, who is an African American filmmaker. It's a document of the National Black Political Convention, which was held in Gary, Indiana in 1972. It features Shirley Chisholm, Dick Gregory, Harry Belafonte, Coretta King, Betty Shabazz, and Mary Baraka. And some of these, what's rare is that the Black point of view, African American point of view from these earlier decades, I think, is really important. And so there was another convention in Oakland, a Black political convention, that the only remaining document is the audio file. So, we feel it's really important to have these first voice narratives that are from the community, talking about the community. And Nation Time, I think, is a great movie that has an insider look at the emerging Black power, political power movement of the time. It's very exciting.
Let's keep going along. We're going from Saturday to Saturday. Let's do June 22nd. You got two of them. Got Viva la Causa, made in 1972, and All the King's Men, 1949. What are those two about?
Viva la Causa. So we wanted to talk about a little bit, because we could have a 17-year film festival, but we wanted to touch on some of the the struggles that actually had a lot of agency and purpose and gained a lot of success. So one of those was the Latino, Chicano, Mexicano movements that was, largely successful in California, with emerging out of the grape boycotts and Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. And so this movie is a document of that time from the 70s and how effective organizing was in strikes and the Great Boycott and changing the labor dynamics and financial arrangements with the grape growers and other kinds of labor struggles that were happening at that time. And All the King's Men is is kind of the classic Roderick Crawford running as a populist in Louisiana through 1949.
All right.
It's sort of a great parallel in some ways to the buffoon in the felon, the new felon. In the sense where everybody sort of walks away from him in the end, and I think that's it's hopefully prognostic of everyone's gonna walk away.
I remember that film. I liked it. Who was the guy? The actor, Andy
Roderick Crawford.
Uh-huh. Anyhow,
Yes.
rather than me have you go down this list, I'm going to mention a few of these, and then I'm going to switch gears because I think every week for the next few weeks, I'm going to remind people that they can watch them. But on June 29th, you've got Harvey Milk. You've got Nixon, I Am Not a Crook. You've got the Parallax View and Communists on Campus. The following week, which is July 6th, Angela Davis and Gus Hall, Jesse Jackson for president, cover up behind the Iran-Contra affair. Tell us how they look at the films that you have they can watch anytime. And then I'm going to ask you about your trips to Cuba.
The best way for people to watch the films anytime is to join the HotHouse mailing list, which you can do by going to hothouse.net, which is our web. At the top of the page, there's a join our mailing list. You will then get emails from us, which have the links to watch the films. We also try to post them on Facebook with the link on Facebook.
I've been really aware that you do regularly is you organize trips to Cuba. And we're both fans of the Cuban Revolution and wishing a lot of support in that direction. Tell us about the most recent trip to Cuba and your future plans on that.
Well, HotHouse goes twice a year in January in the summer, and we're also making a film in Guantanamo called The Other Guantanamo, which is about musicians and cultural organizers in the town. We are taking a group June 19th and the next group after that will be in January for the Havana Jazz Festival.
Ooh.
We're committed to people exchange, and each trip we bring a large quantity of much needed humanitarian aid, medicine, some foodstuffs. People are very much suffering maintenance of the Cuba on the state sponsor of terrorism list. So essentially, the country's been closed off to essential supplies, food, fuel to transport food, medicines, and the rest. And so even though it's somewhat symbolic, we still try to bring as much as we can to give to people anyway. So people can find out more about all of our work on our website, hothouse.net.
Marguerite, let me ask you just briefly because we're running out of time. I don't think much will happen around any more fairness from the U.S. toward Cuba, certainly before the election. But are there any people still actively challenging our current status and the way we treat Cuba and the embargo that we
I would
put
say, yeah, there's a lot, there's hundreds of people around the country, thousands. I mean, the two, I think, significant folks are the Puentes de Amor people in Miami, which are Cuban American, led by Carlos Laza, and then I would say Code Pink, and you can, I think the best thing for your viewers and listeners might be to look at Belly of the Beast, which is on YouTube. That's a series of documentaries where people are talking about the law, things, activism, things. Belly of the Beast on YouTube, Code Pink, and Puentes de Amor. And in Chicago, we have the Chicago Cuba Coalition.
Thank you so much for coming on, Marguerite. Got a lot of information
Thanks,
in
Michael.
there.
Thanks
Yep.
for all you do.